are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. Well, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So this week, Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma reported more measles cases. This outbreak of measles, we believe, started in West Texas. Also cases New Mexico, but we believe it started western part of Texas. CDC last week said they had reports of about 483 measles cases. I think the new cases pushed the national total to 500. According to the University of Minnesota, this is the worst outbreak since 2019. Now, the Texas Department of State Health Services reported 22 more outbreak-related cases. Their total is 422 for the state. 42 of them have had to be hospitalized. One child had died. Of the total, 417 were unvaccinated or have unknown vaccination status, which means some of these individuals were still vaccinated. A very small component, but some of them were. 2 more of the state's counties reported cases, raising the total to 19. 2/3 are from Gaines County on the border of New Mexico. New Mexico has a total of about 48 cases. Of those 48, 43 were unvaccinated or unknown vaccination statuses. That means 5 were definitely vaccinated. Now, again, this isn't, this is important because while this outbreak is spreading, even though the majority of the cases are in the unsure if they were vaccinated or unvaccinated category, which, by the way, I think you need to separate on a spreadsheet. They're saying of, let's say, New Mexico, of those 48, 43 were unvaccinated or of unknown vaccination statuses. Why don't you separate those two? How many are truly unvaccinated where the parent said, nope, I did not vaccinate my child, versus unknown? Now, who are the unknowns? Were they migrants? Were they people from other countries where they don't really know what they were given? Were they individuals in America who really don't have their vaccination card from the 1970s or 1980s? And they don't know. I mean, my mom told me I was vaccinated. So that's, my guess is I was vaccinated. But there might be some people where they aren't in contact with their parents or they were adopted. So they don't know. But I would break those up into 2 separate categories on a spreadsheet. And the reason why it's important to know if vaccinated individuals are getting it is because all the talk is about how, all right, unvaccinated, we have people that don't unvaccinate, parents are not vaccinating, that's why we have an issue. Okay, unvaccinated individuals are the majority of the cases, but we have a lot of vaccinated people going, well, wait a second here. What do I need to do? If vaccinated people are getting this, doesn't mean I need a booster? Doesn't mean this is a new strain? Is it that some people are lying? Remember during the COVID vaccine mandate, people were getting holds of cards that they could complete so they could show a card. Is it that some people got these vaccination cards online, filled them out themselves? So the CDC thinks they're vaccinated, but they aren't. One way you could tell is the IgG, IgM antibodies. If somebody is having active measles for the very first time, they'll have IgM antibodies. Those form within the first 30 days. Then you form IgG antibodies that last lifelong. So I will have IgG antibodies to chickenpox. I'll have IgG antibodies due to whatever I was vaccinated for if I got it after 30 days ago. But if something's happening very fresh, then the IgM antibodies will be positive. And if you were never vaccinated or never exposed, your IgG will be negative. They could figure this out in a heartbeat. Are they doing those tests when somebody walks in with measles? Like I said, we could figure this out pretty quickly. And we need to figure this out. Because if all we're talking about is the unvaccinated population, we're leaving a vaccinated population very vulnerable. And we need to be honest. Maybe we need to update our vaccines. Remember, as the science evolves, what was true in 1968 might not necessarily be true now. What might have worked in 1954 might not work now. Science changes. Now, a study, according to CNN, has found a third of young children who were eligible to be vaccinated against MMR did not get their first shot. The MMR vaccine is supposed to be 93% protective with one vaccine, 97% if you get both series when you're about a year old and 4 or 5 years old. Now, they say in 2024, 68.5% of children had received their first dose by 15 months, which was a decline from 2020 when more than 77% did. And so now that we're seeing that fewer people are getting the MMR vaccine, well, you ask why? Well, I know why. Parents are now not trustful. They're even less trusting of the CDC and their vaccines than they've ever been. People say, oh, well, this is because of RFK Jr. No, actually, RFK Jr. may be what helps bring back trust to vaccines. People did not believe what was being told out of Biden's mouth when he said, we're not going to vaccinate, we're not going to mandate the vaccine. It's not going to be show me your papers. And then it did within months. You couldn't go to a Raiders game. In fact, one of my friend's kids, 2 of them, had to be in a tent and they were unable to go into the Raiders game, the stadium, Allegiant Stadium, until they got a shot outside in the parking lot. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. We fired military, teachers, nurses for not getting the vaccine. So now you have parents going, well, wait a second here. That's not making sense, especially, if the vaccine was purported as if you get it, you don't spread it, you don't get sick. People were still getting sick and people were still spreading it. I still think the vaccine saved lives, but we're losing trust. And in order to get that trust back, we need people to be transparent. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So the big question of the day, and you see memes and people talking about it, is do you run out and buy toilet paper now or not? Didn't we do that this time last year, 5 years ago? Everybody was buying toilet paper because of COVID and because the prices were going up. And then all of a sudden people started using Amazon instead of going into Walmart and Target. And then remember there was that big bee. Those, were they Japanese bees? They were these killer bees that were killing other bees. And there was this meme that was online where you saw a bunch of bees getting ready for the killer bee attack by going and buying toilet paper. So I love how people can have fun with it. But the problem is if people are panicking and they're starting to, panic buy, we're going to run into some issues. And so, I'm online now taking a look at, what's, shall we say, on sale. I mean, paper towel, ridiculously priced. Toilet paper, ridiculously priced. Now, it's been ridiculously priced already since COVID. I don't think the prices went down much. Because remember, after COVID, we had the supply chain crisis. Then we had inflation. And then Biden finally leaves office. And we have Trump. And now with the tariffs, they're saying prices are going to go up again. So I would definitely price shop. I don't like the prices. I wish, I actually did really, really well in terms of toilet paper. I think I just finished using up, and I didn't buy a lot of toilet paper. I have boys. So, they don't use as much toilet paper as girls do. But here's my thing with it. And we spoke about this in the first hour. None of us, part of what we fear when we go through these things is we don't want to be told, well, you should have jumped on it earlier. The number one reason why people aren't buying crypto is not that they don't trust it. Now that countries are taking on crypto and Trump is going to be embracing crypto, the number one reason people aren't buying crypto is because they don't want to be told you should have bought it sooner. You should have bought it when Bitcoin was a lot cheaper than it is now. And so people think, well, I don't want to look like the idiot that bought it high, so I'm not going to buy it. Like this NVIDIA stock, people tell me, oh, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because they don't want to buy it high. They feel like they should have jumped on it, but they should have jumped on it sooner. And I'm like, well, what if it continues to go up? Then you bought it middle. And so, there's a lot of psychology behind everything has to do with, psychology and the way we think. I'm a family doctor, but we learn a lot of psychology in medical school because it is so integral to everything we do. And so my guess is toilet paper towel is going to go up. It shouldn't. There's no reason why tariffs on China and Vietnam, because they're charging us so much, us charging less than what they charge us, should affect our toilet paper and our paper towel. But it's the psychology of things. These companies like Amazon or Walmart or whatever, it's like, ooh, people are going to start to panic buy. Just like, Black Friday before Christmas. We're going to have a captive audience. So let's jump on it. If we're going to have a captive audience, let's go and get, our money while we can. Well, that's how these things start. And if we as consumers say, oh, hell no, I'm not buying this, I'm out, then you're going to do better. It's But people won't do that. It really takes a village. Trump says it's going to be bumpy, but this is something that we need in America. That, like I said, you got to cut to heal. I mean, a surgeon, if you have a faulty gallbladder or you have an appendix that's going to burst and kill you, okay, to get it taken out in the long run, that's going to be very, very good. But I tell you, after surgery, you're going to be like, owie. That's how we do things in medicine. So I know things are going to hurt. But how are people going to take it? Are the Democrats going to make it sound like the world is coming to an end to worsen this? See, because that's kind of what happened with COVID. When you go back 5 years ago, we were trying to calm everybody down because we knew the panic would be deadlier than the COVID virus. And we were right. When public officials said, don't go to the urgent care. If you're sick, stay home. Well, people stayed home until they were on death's door, and then the ER couldn't do much for them. Look, there were things we could have done early on. But the panic set in. Don't leave the house. Just stay home. You'll make other people sick. We can't help you here. And then a few months later, they're like, hey, you guys are coming to the ER where there's nothing we can do. Once you come to the ER, it's too late. Well, then what are they supposed to do? Then, well, we have to lock down. We have to stay locked down. Well, if we're going to reopen, we have to do it in phases. And you're like, come on. We got to go back to normal life. We got to build up a resilience to this. It's going to hurt, but if we get a resilience to this, if we build up immunity as well as vaccination, okay, we're going to be able to fight off COVID. So when COVID comes in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, we can handle it. That's what we predicted. And here we are today. I am grateful for the vaccines, but I'm also grateful for natural immunity. And we are now stronger against COVID than we ever were. But it hurt in the beginning. So, I'm looking at, right now, all these articles say you need to buy up on your shoes and your makeup, and you need to buy up on things now. And people are going to do it. They're going to panic, and they're going to do it because they don't want to, a week from now, be told, well, you should have bought it earlier. You could have bought it when it was cheaper. Now, then what about the stock market? If the stock market is really down, is this a good time to buy? Or is it going to completely continue to go down? I don't know. I'm no stock expert. But if there's been a stock that you've wanted for a while and you see temporarily it's falling and you think it's going to bounce up, you might want to talk to your financial advisor if that might be a good move to jump on. The funny thing is this could be a blessing. People have thought that the stock market was so inflated that they couldn't access stocks and that it was just too expensive to buy. Here's your huckleberry, or here's your blessing. The stock market's dropping. Now you may be able to get into some of these things you've wanted to. I don't know. I'm no financial expert, so I'm not telling you to go and buy. But you see how the psychology could change? If a bunch of people go, oh, okay, now let's buy. Stock market's going to go up and we're going to be in the green again. But if all you hear from Chuck Schumer is, oh, it's going to be bad. We are going to go into the worst recession. We're going to go into a depression. Well, then people are going to panic and you're going to see the stock market drop. Stock market's very volatile. It's not the best indicator for the economy. So, I say we be patient. I say we don't panic. If you do feel like you are going to be caught in the cold because things are going to go up in price and you feel like, I want to buy some extra toilet paper, I don't blame you. That's fine. But, I don't think we have to be there. I don't think we have to be panicking to the level that everybody is panicking about. And where I'm still blown away is, how did we get here in the first place? When you look at everything all these other countries are charging us, how did we let that happen? 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
All right. Well, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah and on Facebook, the Dr. Daliah Show. So this caught my eye. There are documents that have been declassified by the CIA to reveal a secret mission to find Adolf Hitler. When Adolf Hitler lost World War II. Too long. I wish he never rose to power. But by the time that ended, we didn't believe that he and Ava committed suicide and gave up that easily. We all believed, not at the time, I wasn't alive at the time, but the U.S. and many countries believed he had been working on an escape plan the whole time. He was very paranoid. So there is no way he would have thought, he was narcissistic, but there's no way he would have not had a backup plan. And so when the Russians made it to Berlin, I was able to destroy his compound. They say they found him and Ava, their bodies, and maybe they didn't. But when history later divulged that there's been, people don't believe that they think he had a backup plan and he escaped to South America, didn't really seem that far off. He was paranoid. We believe he had Parkinson's and other issues, but he, he had backup plans. And so now multiple reports from the CIA archives said agents in South America were convinced that the dictator was still alive in the 1950s and changed his name to remain undercover. According to Daily Mail, one operative even said they found a photo in Colombia showing a man who resembled him. Now, Allied forces said they found his burnt body and said that he took his own life. I think he had arsenic, that he was in a German bunker in April of 1945. But documents declassified in 2020 said U.S. intelligence officials were trying to locate his hideout in Argentina just months after World War II ended. Over the next decade, the search apparently kept going on. The CIA was still talking with informants who allegedly knew about Hitler's secret escape in 1955. Although the trail of documents ends in November of 1955, they say a shocking announcement out of Argentina is now reawakening the case. Now, obviously, he's dead now, but I think a lot of us believed he escaped. Why? Well, because a lot of Nazis went to Argentina. And many of them were found. In March, President Javier Milei of Argentina ordered that his government declassify all documents on Nazis who sought refuge and were protected by the country after World War II at the time. Argentina, as we know, was a notorious hideout for former members of the Nazi Party. They were trying to escape war crimes. And now some of these documents may give us a little bit more information about what happened to Hitler. And so the documents describe how the U.S. War Department sent information to the FBI that Hitler may have a secret hideout at a spa hotel in La Falda, Argentina. An October 1945 file, remember, it ended in the spring of 45, revealed that the owners of this hotel were major supporters of the Nazi Party, making financial contributions to propaganda chief Joseph Goebbels, and were close friends of Hitler's. According to U.S. intelligence, Hitler never forgot the family's allegiance to the Nazis and even lived with them in the same hotel on their vacations in Germany. The War Department, according to Daily Mail, told the FBI they were convinced that Hitler would retreat to the hotel should Germany lose World War II, or he was deposed as the Nazi leader. Allied forces said they found Hitler's charred remains. Another CIA document released in 2020 included a photo of a man believed to be the Nazi leader sitting with a friend in Colombia in 1954. Now, remember, listen, you see, we've seen enough movies where a charred body, where you don't have the ability to look for DNA, if the teeth were destroyed, and you didn't necessarily have accurate dental records on them, you're assuming a lot if a charred body is sitting there. And was this set up? The report from October 3rd, 1955 clearly stated that a U.S. intelligence operation was taking place in order to confirm whether or not Adolf Hitler, referred to as Adolf Hitler in the files with a PH instead of an F, had survived and secretly relocated to South America. And the informant was known as Simelody III, spoke to a trusted friend who served under Hitler's command in Europe and had escaped to Maracaibo, Venezuela. The friend said that a man by the name of Philip Citronin, a former SS trooper, claimed that Hitler was still alive in Colombia and that he spoke with the former Nazi leader monthly, and he recently took a picture with him. Now, I mean, I'm looking at this picture. Could be him. I mean, it's hard. It's a black and white. It's a copy of a copy. Also, you would think Hitler would change his mustache and would, do some things that would make him a little less obvious. So, and could it be that the Nazis wanted people to keep looking for Hitler and not the other? Remember, I mean, war crimes were going to be levied on anybody they could find, and they should. I mean, what was done was absolutely horrific. It was disgusting, and they all should burn in hell. But there's also, on the other side, some incentive for some of the Nazi leaders to add fuel to the fire and say, Hitler's still alive. So, maybe use some of your resources or all of your resources to keep looking for them. So this Simelody number 3's friend, whose name was not given, was able to apparently steal this picture in September 28, 1955. And in it, the man alleged to be Hitler was referred to as Adolf Schrittelmeyer. And he was photographed sitting on a bench next to this friend, Citroen, in Tunja, Colombia. Now, they said he eventually moved to Argentina January of 55. By the time U.S. intelligence agents acquired the photo and made copies, already World War II was over for a decade. And Nazis believed they were now immune to prosecution. Oh, no. Oh, no. If you're still alive, nope. So, U.S. agents continued to hunt for Hitler for years, from what I understand. And, we're going to be getting more documents and more information on this. And, I'm fascinated by it because, so much of what we hear now is BS. So, of course, we're going to get propaganda. Really, Hitler and Eva Braun just decide to kill themselves and their bodies get all burned up and, we don't have evidence of them. I am sure they had a backup plan. And I'm sure they did escape. So when people have these theories that they escaped, where did they go? Some people will say, well, what's the use now? If they're dead now, what's the use? Well, because, we do want to know what happened. The history books are making it sound like they just decided to give up when things are going bad. They didn't want to serve jail time, so they killed themselves, which was a very common thing people would do if they didn't want to go to jail or be charged or for war crimes. But then, if we were wrong and if people lied to us and the history books are wrong, we need to fix this. Also, who were responsible for helping? There's a lot of, current companies and businesses that exist now that have been named as Nazi sympathizers who helped these Nazis escape. I'm fascinated by it, and I hope they look deeper into it. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So, it's sad to see all these videos of Biden surface, and you see him stumble and shuffle, and it's hard. I'm a physician, and Biden possibly going down as one of the worst presidents in history. Not kind of an easy thing, especially since he served this country for multiple decades, and seeing him and more reports, surface that they needed to use fluorescent tape. He didn't know he was the president. He almost thought he was the president of NATO, and all these other things that are kind of now being spoken about him. And this is what I warned everybody about a few years ago, I go, Biden's going to want to leave this presidency with his head up high. He's going to want to leave on a high note. And so he's not going to want this sort of reputation surrounding him. And it's getting worse as we're getting more and more, aides speaking out saying, look, it was miserable trying to get him ready for the debate with Trump. And he was just exhausted and he's trying to read the cards. And they were really trying to, people were saying it was elder abuse, that not letting him retire and forcing him to go through the grueling schedule, although, his schedule was probably a lot of naps and getting to go to Delaware. But, a schedule like Trump is holding, they were like, this is abusive. He needs to retire, get some fresh air, spend time with his grandkids, and not be forced to try to not only maintain a presidency, but then to run again. And so, I see a lot of people. As I said, there was this Democratic radio host at one of the radio conferences saying that they felt duped. That they told their listeners that when they found out that Biden was losing, some of his cognition, they felt duped. And I'm like, how could you be duped? You're really well educated. You're brilliant. Democrats were not duped. They knew there was a problem. And as we discussed yesterday, their primary in 2020 didn't have enough, Pete Buttigieg, very promising, but not enough behind him, being a mayor at the time. Kamala Harris lost early on in the Democratic primary, so people didn't like her. Beto O'Rourke was talking about taking people's guns away. Elizabeth Warren was talking about writing off college loans, student loans, when a lot of Democrats had already paid their loans, not very popular. So nobody was popular. All they could do from the Democratic side was ride on Obama's coattails, and that was using the vice president of Obama. The most popular Democrat in 2020 was Obama, but Obama couldn't run again. So what was the next best thing? Using his vice president. Bill Clinton has been one of the most popular Democrats in modern time, but again, he can't run again. So they tried to go with Hillary, his wife. Not as popular. And this is something that Trump is, and the Republicans are going to possibly face. Is J.D. Vance going to have 1/10 the popularity that Trump has? That's why you're hearing all this talk about third term. Again, it's a distraction. He cannot run a third term. The Constitution won't allow it, even though, maybe they can make him vice president or whatever. No. But he, in order to get J.D. Vance or whoever on the Republican side elected, is going to have to somehow say he's still involved if his policies do remain successful, and if this tariff thing works and the border remains secure and the economy ends up bouncing back. So, but going back to, seeing what we're seeing with Joe Biden, where they said that he had to have fluorescent tape to, show him where to go. And it's a shame. But the big mistake Democrats are making is when they said, well, we were duped and we were no. If you want to save face, okay, the last thing you want is this duping. Okay, there's a lot of distrust people have right now with the government, right and left. And so when you say that you were duped, one, were you really? You're lying. Okay, I think everybody could see. The kindergartner could see that he was struggling, even in the 2020 election. So I wouldn't say that. And what I would say is the honest truth. Where you had a choice, either supporting the party and supporting your current president or presidential candidate, or going, making unsubstantiated claims, even though anecdotally we all could see it, but you didn't necessarily have his medical records and MRIs, right? Or making claims, that he has, not the mentation for it. You had a choice and you picked, you're going to support the president no matter what. And that it was more of I wanted to be in support and I didn't want to make any claims. I understand people thought he was failing, but I couldn't go on record because I'm not a doctor. I didn't have his MRIs. I didn't have his psychological evaluation because he never had one. So to save face, what Democrats could do, because even George Clooney had to be like, okay, wait a second. I now my reputation's on the line. Guys, I don't think he, can make it another 4 years. Because, now it's your reputation. I know now people are blaming Biden, George Clooney for saying something because then Kamala Harris started running. But I think what the Democrats could do is say, look, we had a choice between supporting our current president or making claims that we couldn't substantiate. So we chose the lesser of the two evils. And we thought we were doing the right thing. We want to do right with you guys. And when we were told by his staff that he still is functioning and he's doing work, we weren't in the White House. So if he says he's doing the work, all we could do is believe that. And we were supporting our president. We will now support somebody who is going to work and going to maintain, American principles, honor the Constitution, and we're going to move on. We're going to learn from our mistakes, and we're going to move on. And I think if the Democrats say that, they're going to probably gain some of their trust back. But, the last administration was a complete mess. This administration, Trump's getting a lot done. Is he getting too much done? Do the tariffs really need to be done? I know eventually that has to be done, and he only has a certain amount of time until the midterms. So I guess if he is going to fix the tariff issue where we're being charged more by other countries and we're getting screwed over, I guess the timing is now. For those of you, like I said, who are, upset that you couldn't buy into the stock market because it was overly inflated all these years, you're going to get a chance to buy now low. Maybe it's a good thing. Who knows? But Americans want trust. They don't want to be lied to. This is why we're having such an issue now with vaccines. I think vaccines are good. I support vaccines, but they were lied to about the vaccine. When Biden said, we're not going to make you show us your papers, we're not going to mandate it. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, we're firing our nurses who were there day one, helping us on the front line with COVID when people were locked down. We fired our military. We're firing our first responders. The lies. Nobody wants the lies. And the second they feel they're being lied to, you lose their trust. You lose their faith. And that's kind of what happened in the last election. The Biden administration, was saying, yeah, the border is secure. What they probably should have said is, look, we want the border. Be honest. We want the border open. We want these individuals to be Americans. So that's why we're being loose with it. Don't try to act like the border was secure. Be honest. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.